Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how you can crochet this super cute slouchy beanie. It's perfect for winter because it's super warm, but it's lightweight enough to wear all year round, making it the perfect everyday beanie. So to start off, I am using this knit and crochet brand merino wool. It is a lightweight yarn, so it's recommended to use a 3mm hook, but I do not have one of those, so I'm using a 3.5, but I was going to do that regardless because I wanted my stitches to be a little bit more relaxed. So you want to start off with a slip knot, and then you will insert your hook and begin your foundation chain. You want to make sure that this foundation chain is long enough to go completely around your head and still fit about like a finger or two in between the beanie and your head so that there's like a little bit of give. You also want to make sure that you are doing an even amount of stitches for this, because if it's odd, the pattern won't come out right on the ribbing. So it's very important to count your stitches and make sure that they're even. Mine came out to 90 stitches, and when you're done, you want to make sure you slip stitch into the other end of your chains so that it creates a ring. This project is all double crochets, so to start off our first row, we're going to do a chain of 3. This is to replicate a double crochet, and then for the entire rest of the chain, you're going to just double crochet once into each chain. When you reach the end, you'll slip stitch into the chain 3 that counts as your double crochet, and that'll be the completion of your first row. During this step, you also want to make sure that your piece stays straight and that your stitches line up so it's not getting all twisted up. When you begin your second row, you'll do a chain 3, and instead of crocheting into the top stitches, we're going to be crocheting in the front and back of the posts of the stitches from the previous row. Here's a little bit of a close-up on how to do that. So you will start off by putting your hook behind the post. It'll make like a loop on your hook, and then the next stitch you'll do it in front of the post so that the loop is on the back of your hook. And once again, this is just a double crochet throughout all of them. You will complete the stitch like normal, aside from going into the post instead of the top of the stitch. Once you finish that row, you'll start to see the ribbing texture that we're creating by doing this post stitch. You're going to want to continue this process for however many rows you want the brim to be. I did mine a total of 9 rows. You can do them more or less though, because it's not going to affect the pattern, so it's up to you on this part. This is what all 9 rows look like for me. It still has like a nice stretch so that it goes over your head, which is kind of what we want. That's why I chose a bit of a bigger hook. So for this next row, we are going to start off with a chain 3, and then we're going to just double crochet like normal into all of the stitches around until you reach the end, and then you'll slip stitch. Once you reach the end of that row, you're going to basically continue this process for the whole beanie, but instead of crocheting into both loops of the stitch, we're going to be crocheting into the back loop only for every row. Alright, here I am just checking in with you guys. So I'm about 10 rows in. You can kind of see the texture that going into the back loops creates as well. But I believe I'm going to go another 10 rows to kind of give it that extra length so that it has a nice slouch to it. But this is up to you for how long you want to make it. It's also important to make sure every few rows that you're not accidentally increasing or decreasing. You would be able to tell if the work is starting to get bigger or larger. You want to make sure it's just staying like a nice square shape. So here is what the 20 rows in total looks like. You can see it's nice and straight, it's got a good stretch. And I actually had a small amount of yarn left over. I thought I was going to need 2 skeins for this, but I actually only needed the 1. So for the next part of this, we're just going to be closing off the beanie, and this can be done with a crochet hook or a tapestry needle if you have one. So the process for cinching the beanie shut is just going to be sewing the top essentially, but instead of sewing through every stitch, we're going to sew through every other stitch, because if you do it in every stitch, there's going to be way too much tension and your yarn's probably going to rip before it can close. So here I am on the last stitch, and I'm just going to cinch that hole shut by lightly pulling the string. It's very likely that the entire beanie won't shut and there'll be a tiny little hole, so we are just going to sew that shut with the remaining string on the yarn from our needle. You want to make sure to flip this inside out before you start to sew it shut, so that all of the strings and stuff are in the inside, but you're just going to literally sew the hole shut. It doesn't have to be pretty because it's not going to be visible. The final step of this process is just going to be taking the rest of that thread on the needle and weaving it into the inside of the beanie so that it's secure. This is an optional step as well. I like to just secure it a little better with a little bit of fabric glue just so that nothing moves around. And here's what that glue looks like dried. It's not really visible, but you can run your hook over it and it won't move the thread around. Here is the final product, and I actually made a video of me washing and blocking this beanie as well to show you guys how you can do that yourselves to give it more of a natural slouch. Thank you all for watching, and happy crocheting!